Thanks, John. Thanks, everyone, for coming. Great to see you all. Great to be back in front of people again and talking face to face. Just a quick introduction to myself. I'm the creative director of Zoma. We're a full-service digital marketing and brand agency. We're based outside Dundalk in County Louth. I have quite a few slides, so I might just do a bit of pointing just to keep skipping on. On a day-to-day basis, pretty much, digital marketing, email, social branding, and content creation is what we do within Zoma and what I kind of focus on. As a kind of an aside and a kind of a competitive hobby, I compete in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And why I'm telling you that is, about 4 years ago, I started a brand called Coffee and Commerce, which is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and MMA focused in terms of fight wear and leisure wear. So I kind of had an introduction to the e-commerce space and email through that. So I kind of have two things going, and I'm coming at it from email marketing from both sides in terms of the agency side as well as my own brand as well. So I just want to kind of recap on marketing in general and what we try to do when we're marketing a product. We're trying to, I suppose, play on emotions to existing and potential customers, emotions, experiences, and as well as not just the product itself, but the benefits of that product. People buy from people, which is the advantage of email marketing in comparison to, say, I might mention kind of social media marketing, social media paid advertising, and I'll mention it a few times and it might sound like I'm kind of knocking it down a bit. I'm not. There obviously is great advantages to it, but the advantage to email marketing, and especially the automated flows that I will mention, is the kind of the hands-off approach to it once it's set up. Social media marketing is great, but we're constantly kind of paying and relying on the algorithm and depending on the platform to kind of do a lot of work for us. People buy from people, which is why influencer marketing did work in the past, and okay, it might have died off a little bit, but it's still a tool that we use. And in terms of the businesses ourselves, if we can promote ourselves and the people behind the brands, people buy from people as well as community. So if people feel part of a community, they're more likely to invest into the brand and to buy from the brand. Within email marketing and automated flows in particular, we can kind of, from a hands-off point of view, we can make people feel part of a community within our own brand or within our clients' brands. And just kind of, if we think about social media as well and the amount of scrolling that we do and the amount of content that there is online, if we can directly target people through their emails that they're giving us and they're asking us or asking the brands to contact them directly, we can skip all this noise that's going on online and get directly into their inbox or into their phones through either SMS or emails. SMS marketing is something that anecdotally I'm not a big fan of in terms of, I don't really like getting a text from a brand. I think emails are a lot more powerful in that they're just not as intrusive, but I do think SMS marketing is something that's growing, and we take our cues a lot from the US. Generally, we look at the US and things kind of happen here 5-10 years behind, and SMS marketing is something that is growing and is quite big in the US at the minute. And as you can see from those stats as well, the open rates and the interaction rates on SMS are obviously a lot higher than email, which is something that we should be keeping an eye on. But this is, I suppose, an interesting stat in a way, in that email, okay, you can find whatever stats to back up whatever your argument is online at the minute, but email is a lot of the times the first thing that people will check in the morning. That might be to do at work, which is fair enough, but they're still checking their email inboxes. So if we can get directly in, they might not be checking to see what their favorite brand is trying to sell them or what their new product is first thing in the morning. But if we can get into that email inbox and keep that from a hands-off point of view, that we're not actively trying to do that all the time, it's going to be a real advantage to selling and to promoting our brand. Keep going. Yeah, so it's like the same thing of, with social media, we're constantly trying to create new content, even within email with kind of direct campaigns, new product launches, new campaigns. We're constantly trying to create new content. If we focus on automated flows and kind of build those out and optimize those, they're a completely hands-off tool that a lot of brands don't really focus on. They think about email campaigns from a one-off point of view. They think about social media and organic content and paid campaigns on social, but you're constantly trying to create new content through that. So some of the kind of the key automated flows that we recommend to our clients and that I've done myself and that are kind of the core of what we should be doing, although it is kind of endless in what we can do with automated flows within email, there are a couple of core ones that we should focus on. Obviously, welcome emails or welcome flows, depending on whether someone comes into your website. Generally, people don't buy first time. They come in, they have a look around, and they might give you their email address and a sign-up form, and they're asking you to contact them. Tell them more about your brand. They want to learn about you, they want to learn about your brand, they want to learn the story behind it, they want to see what your best products are. And that's where the advantage of welcome flows come in. So we could have multiple layers of this over a number of hours, days, or weeks, getting information out about the brand, teaching the client or teaching the potential customer or existing customer, if they go in and you're lucky enough that they do buy from you first time, that we're keeping them, we're kind of educating them about the brand and getting them on board and trying to build that community. One of the biggest and most disruptive brands in the last few years has been Gymshark, and that's one of the best things that they've done is built that community behind their brand. Then obviously the next couple are kind of ones that most people would be familiar with and are the flows the one or two flows that people would kind of focus on is the abandoned cart and abandoned checkout, because they're the kind of obvious ones in trying to recover lost revenue. Transactional flows then are kind of a different way of looking at it. Like, we're all used to buying online. We all know what it's like to get an order confirmation email. But if we can be a little bit more creative within these emails, not just like, here's your order, it's in process, it's going to come in a few days. We can add a personal touch to this. We make people feel, again, like they're buying from people, like they're part of a community. And then post-purchase as well, in terms of, we all know the feeling of sitting around waiting on, after you order and you're waiting on your product to come, you're waiting on that whatever new product that you're after investing in, and you're looking forward to it and you're excited. Why not fill that time, that couple of days or maybe a couple of weeks, depending on what the product is, to get the customer excited about when they're going to receive it. Kind of fill that gap where they're kind of sitting back going, oh, I'm waiting on it now, where is it, where's the delivery man? And then post-delivery, we're looking at maybe, is it product care? Is it reviews, where we can try and get more information and more content out of the customer that we can use from a feedback point of view in terms of improving the product, or from a content point of view then to build out and not be trying to generate our own content. So we've that UGC, user-generated content, is such a huge area in terms of the kind of trust and loyalty standpoint, that when people see content coming from other customers, they're more likely then to invest in the product. Obviously then later on we can look at cross-selling and upselling, especially depending on what your product is. You might have linked products. It could be a clothing brand where you have a range, trying to kind of get people to invest in and build out and invest in a range of products, if it's a matching set or whatever that is. And then we get into the next couple, which are VIP and lapsed customers, which are kind of linked hand in hand, which doesn't really sound like it makes sense. But this is like over a longer period of time, we're trying to, again, be hands off, in that we're all used to sending emails all day, every day. But if we can set up these automated flows and let these work away in the background, we have VIP customers who might buy from us 3, 4, 5 times. Let's reward those customers with extra content from behind the scenes, extra discount codes. Or we have lapsed customers who bought from us once, didn't come back that second or third time. Trying to get those back after a couple of months. Here's our best sellers, here's our biggest products, here's what's going on in our community, again, to try and build that community aspect. So this is kind of a rough kind of flow of how all these flows then link together. So someone comes into the site first time, maybe it's from a social ad, maybe they find you organically, maybe they find you through influencer marketing, whatever that is. It's essentially about, at this stage, saying hello, welcome to our brand, thanks for showing interest in our brand. Then we get into maybe browse abandonment emails where they go, oh, they've come back to me, yeah, I'll have a look. And they look at a couple of products and they browse through your website and they look at a few more products, but they don't actually add the cart. They don't get to even that point of abandoned cart emails. Nothing against Anthony Davis, but he does have big eyebrows. Then we have the add to cart series. So we do get them then to browse the products, get interested, add to cart. Maybe they don't quite get the checkout. Maybe they're busy, they're on their lunch and they have to go back to work, whatever that is. Then we activate that add to cart or that abandoned cart sequence. Nobody likes an abandoned cart. So then we get them into that. We get that first purchase from them. We get them invested in the brand, and this is when we're off to the races. So now we get into the post-purchase series where we're building that community, we're getting them invested in the brand, we're getting them feeling like they're part of something bigger. Instead of just sitting, waiting, we're filling that time with those emails. This is something, this review came in through Coffee and Commerce during the pandemic, and I don't know if this guy was just bored or what was going on, but yeah, this came from an automated flow, completely hands-off. It's a review flow, and this guy decided, he got a review email and decided this is the review he wanted to leave. I had absolutely nothing to do with sending out this email, but this is great social content, completely for free, that I had nothing to do with. And it's little things like this that we're kind of creating free content, completely hands-off by having automated flows set up from a one-time point of view. Obviously then cross-selling and upselling are an option then further down the line. And then we get into VIP, second purchase, third purchase, and following on from that. And obviously then we get the elapsed customers emails, where we can kind of retarget then to previous customers 4, 6, 9, 12 months down the line. Some of the things to focus on in terms of like what I've spoken about is all about setting up your automated flows and leaving it hands off, and it's kind of working in the background, increasing your customer lifetime value, and from a completely hands off point of view. But there is an aspect to this where we have to keep reviewing what's going on within our content. Some of the main things to consider are subject lines. Because everyone's attention span is less than a goldfish now, we have to be quite catchy with our subject lines. Copywriting, in kind of the same way, we need to be a little bit witty, and the same with the subject lines. We need to have something to engage. If we send out emails and the subject line and the copy isn't engaging enough, doesn't attract them in to click the email, there's no point them having the email. They're just going to bin it and it's useless. And again, because people's attention spans are short, we have to keep it short and snappy and engaging. Content within the email is something else to review. Again, people's attention spans are short. Keep it going. Keep delivery timing, then same thing. People's attention spans are short, and bad timing, there's nothing worse. And A/B testing, obviously, everyone in here has, if you haven't done email marketing or you've done a bit of email marketing, everyone at this stage has probably done some sort of social media advertising. A/B testing is something that we're all familiar with, and this is something that we need to continue through automated flows and in our campaigns as well. And just some resources to kind of consider. I kind of talked a little bit briefly there about email marketing in general, the automated flows, but some of the resources that kind of might help, especially for kind of smaller brands and businesses who maybe don't have the internal resources or don't have the budget or the capacity to outsource for a lot of things. Klaviyo, with Zoma, we're a Klaviyo partner. Klaviyo is the platform that we use for most of our e-commerce clients for their email marketing. OmniSend is another option. MailChimp I've crossed out there because a lot of brands who come to us, generally they're not doing any email marketing at all, and if they're doing any, it's one-off campaigns on MailChimp, which is great to a certain point and it gets you started, but it's just not the same as say Klaviyo or OmniSend, who are optimized for e-commerce. In terms of Facebook Ads Library is a great tool for kind of digging into your competitors and their kind of social media advertising and what they're doing, their content, their captions. A couple of email options for this are reallygoodemails.com and mill.com, who are kind of similar style platforms from an email point of view. Sorry, just go back a sec. And then we have a couple in terms of copywriting, AI copywriting websites, and some graphic design websites that could help in terms of developing and upskilling and increasing the kind of quality of your emails. And because next slide, because everyone's attention span is so short, I'm Chris and I'm the creative director of Zoma. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to fire ahead.
Thanks so much, Chris. Firstly, while people are getting their ideas together for questions, I'm just curious to know, what do you find out there in terms of content generation? Are you seeing any sort of interesting tools or processes to support that in your marketing?
In terms of creating content, like I mentioned there, user-generated content is something that over the last, probably since the pandemic really, has really increased in terms of there's a couple of angles to it, and that it saves you from an internal point of view of having to create your own content. So there's especially for kind of smaller brands, that you don't have to go thinking about what you're going to create and constantly trying to update new content. But there's also that trust element where if you, as a consumer, if you view content from other consumers of that same brand or other customers of that same brand, you're going to trust that brand more, that you see that they're willing to create content around this. We've all bought things and you go, oh, this is brilliant, I love it, but we don't actually create content behind it. We don't promote the brand for them. So if you consider that if someone's willing to go out of their way to create content and promote your brand, that's one of the best ways of marketing, and it's completely hands off from your point of view. So if we have, again, email flows built in that we can encourage existing customers to kind of create their own content based on our products, that's a great way of kind of building free content to build into our emails as well as social media.
And would you sort of drizzle it into the emails then, sort of, like the review you showed us there, or just try and bring in some of their humor and their community?
Exactly, yeah. So you can kind of encourage more people through that then to create similar content and help kind of roll over, and then it's a snowball effect from there.
Brilliant. Has anybody got any questions at the moment? Yeah.
Hey Chris, great presentation. And now from All Nutrition, for a FMCG brand, what's the optimum amount of times you should be doing campaign emails, or do you have any tips on building out kind of campaign email strategies?
In terms of optimum timing, that's really, there's no optimum timing. That's a test point of view. I know that's a kind of a cop-out answer in a way, but it's similar to the kind of the timing between your flows as well. It comes down to testing and seeing. I would say base it around kind of key events in terms of product launches, and kind of build out key events during the year. You might have events going on during the year as well. It's not just from an FMCG point of view, but kind of in any kind of brand. If you kind of then linking that to a strategy point of view, if you link everything to events and kind of build up campaigns leading up to that event, to whether that event is an actual physical event or a product launch, or maybe from an FMCG perspective, you're going into a new retailer. If you can build up those and kind of test the timing in between, and look at the analytics on every campaign in terms of the open rates, the click-through rates, the conversion rates on each campaign, and don't be afraid to say, well, this has been working okay at this kind of time, and if it's one a week, try one every 4 or 5 days and do it for a month or two, and then see how that goes, see if your conversion rate drops. It's kind of the same, that's a bit of a cop-out answer, I know, but there is really, it's unique to every brand, and then again to the customers and the community behind that brand.
Yes, sorry.
Hi there, Carrie from Zoma Consulting. Do you have any good sources for benchmarks, industry benchmarks for open rates, clicks? Or again, should you just be testing against yourself, or do you have any recommendations?
Klaviyo itself, I know just from using it, has a lot of good benchmarks within it. You kind of, when you're setting it up, you define your industry, and it does give you some benchmarks to work off. in terms of, yeah, competing against yourself is like, you can compete against other brands, but like I was saying to this guy here, it's also about, even within the same industry, different brands have kind of different types of communities behind them, slightly different target markets and target demographics, that competing against yourself and kind of optimizing your own timing and considering the analytics on each of your own campaigns and just testing those and comparing them against each other is probably the best approach.
And as Klaviyo offered, significant insights on that. I mean, over and above, you mentioned MailChimp got the line through. What specifically standout things is?
Yeah, so Klaviyo it's optimized for e-commerce, so there's a lot more data and kind of automated reports that you can build out in the back end, as well as the flows and everything else that you can build in within that platform, and then integrations into whatever your website platform is on, whether it's Shopify, Magento, WordPress, WooCommerce, whatever that is.
I thought I saw it. Yes, okay.
Hi, Chris. Fantastic presentation, all of which goes out the window. People unsubscribe to your listings. Have you got any thoughts on how to retain people, to stop them unsubscribing? And is it true, or would it be fair to say, that no matter how good the email campaigns are, you will always get someone unsubscribing?
Yeah, you should be concerned if you're not getting anyone unsubscribing, because that means they're probably not looking at your emails at all. You should probably have a small unsubscribe rate. It's only natural, and I wouldn't be worried about it too much. As long as you're kind of staying somewhat active, if you keep an eye on your unsubscribe rate, and again, back to like timing and that as well, if it does start to increase it, that might be to do with your time in between your campaigns as well. And again, content as well. Like if you're keeping your content informative and kind of beneficial, and you're not just trying to push product and sell all the time. Again, it's trying to build that community and build that trust with the customer, that they're buying from a brand that cares about them as a customer, not just cares about what's in their wallet.
Great. One last question, just on so in my Google inbox, on my phone, it sort of ranks things, promotions, social, and primary.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that was a bit of a game changer when it started with people and trying to give them the scale of Google's Gmail. So are there any interesting insights or ideas as to how you can sort of keep in people's inboxes, or at least front and center, or is it literally just great content? Yeah,
it's just about creating content and just trying to kind of stay active, and people will see the emails without kind of overloading that inbox. If someone clicks on like one of the promotion tabs in their email and they see too many emails from the same brand, it's going to be that issue where they just delete the emails or they unsubscribe. So like, again, another bit of a cop-out answer, but it's all about kind of balance and testing and trying to kind of just keep an eye on the analytics behind every campaign, and then behind all the campaigns in general over a 3, 6, 9, 12-month period.
No cop-outs at all. Thank you very much for all your answers. Can we give Chris a round of applause?